Hey, welcome back to the podcast. It is January. Can you even believe it's January? It has gone so fast. The holidays flew by. I took a break from podcasting, both this podcast and the Gray Roots podcast. So just getting back to it. It's been about a month since I've been here with you guys. And last time I just talked about the character trait for December. And now we want to do the character trait for January, which is peacefulness. You guys, listen, I don't know about your house, but my house was not very peaceful during the holidays. I mean, it was a lot of chaos, to be honest. It was people coming in and out. We went to Atlanta to visit some of our kids, and then we came back here. Son, daughter in law, 6 grandbabies came for a few days. That was wild and fabulous and fun. And then I think 6 of my other kids came Christmas Eve. And so it was just busy and chaotic, and it wasn't the state of tranquility and calmness, which is what peacefulness means. But I think as we get back into January, it really is a good time to focus on this character trait because of the chaos of the holidays often, and everyone was sugared up. I was sugared up. The kids were sugared up, and they were just with a cold and this, if it snowed where you were, and just all of that breeds excitement, which is great. I'm a fan, but sometimes that excitement can be taken a little too far, and we lose that, the peacefulness and state of tranquility and calmness. I really love that. I think it's one of the best gifts we could give our kids is to teach them about this character trait. Teach them how to be peaceful. Peaceful state of tranquility and calmness. How do we do that? Let's talk about that for a few minutes today. Let's talk about how do we have a peaceful home. Doesn't that sound dreamy? I love it when I have a peaceful home. We were laughing. Listen, I have a lot of kids. And when you have a lot of kids and then you bring in their partners and you bring in friends, there's a chance someone's going to disagree on something while you're together. And we were laughing. We were like, we have made it all the way through Christmas into New Year's without any arguments. And I kid you not, the day it was ending, my youngest son and my youngest daughter, who go to college together, who are best friends, got mad at each other and they blew up. And I was laughing. I was like, you guys, we were having such a peaceful Christmas. It just happens. It's impossible to have a peaceful home all of the time. But if we can teach our little kids, our youngest ones, how to have the spirit of peacefulness, what a great gift we can give them. So how do we do that? How do we really focus on this character trait? Listen, like everything else, I'm going to say it about this. You have to model that. How do you model peacefulness? I mean, I think one of the best ways is for the children to see you with coping mechanisms that help you when you're feeling chaotic. Do you have things like breathing techniques? And it's okay to say, hey, mom's going to take a minute and get her breath. Maybe you can breathe with me and you guys do some deep breathings. Let's do it. Deep breaths. Come on, let's do it. And again, breathe in, let that belly expand, hold it, and breathe out. If you do that 6 times, man, that changes. Let's go ahead and do it. We can take a minute. That was 2. Let's do 3. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Let's do 2 more. Breathe in, hold it, breathe out. Last one. Breathe in, hold it, and breathe out. Hopefully, if you did that with me, just doing that can help regulate your nervous system, can calm you. I know it's amazing to me how quickly I, as the grown-up, can get dysregulated. Listen, I can get dysregulated with my dogs now. When they're barking at the cats outside and going crazy, I find that I get anxious. And I know it's like that when children are losing it, instead of softening your voice, which is what you need to do. Listen, if you yell and escalate that only escalates the kids. But if you yourself can bring it down and de-escalate their anxiety, it helps so much. And if you can't do it by speaking softly, if that's not your nature, it's not my nature. Listen, if you know me, you know I am loud. But if you can, the best trick when your kids are getting too loud is to start whispering. And you whisper what it is you really want them to get. And if that doesn't work, do you know my second favorite trick of parenting and to calm a chaotic situation is a little dance party. It's a little wild. It's a little getting silly. It's a little getting silly. Can you get silly? I mean, Yeah, I'm silly. That's my nature. But you know what? It diffuses chaos often and diffuses when things are escalating, when twos are becoming tens, those moments, because that keeps you from jumping in. So if you want to teach peacefulness, you've got to have coping skills that are peaceful. You've got to have ways of calming yourself in those moments. The other thing, it's okay if you are upset because listen, we are human. And having all of those emotions, that's being human. But the healthy way to do that is to express it even to your younger kids to say, hey, mom is feeling about sad today. She's thinking about whatever and it's making her sad. Or mom didn't sleep well last night and so she's a little on edge. So I'm going to need you to recognize that mom's not at her best. So if I get snappy, I'm telling you ahead. So we're going to work on some calming. Mom's going to do some breathing. I'm going to play some calm music, or I'm going to play some dance music and try and get myself out of this funk. If you're just like feeling a little, winter blues, my goodness. I just finished a walk. My husband and I went on a 3-mile walk in the sun. It was 60 degrees today here out in Lake Martin. That does wonders for me. So maybe you say, mom's feeling a little blue. Let's go take a walk together. Here's what you're doing. Number one, you're teaching them great coping skills. Like when you're feeling sad, maybe getting out in nature, that helps. When you're feeling sad, putting on some music helps. When you're feeling sad, maybe doing some deep breathing helps. Guess what? Those are all great coping skills we want our children to learn. And if that can bring you and yourself back into a state of peacefulness and calmness, tranquility, what are our kids? They're seeing it. I was recording Gray Roots, a podcast earlier. And we were actually talking about that in parenting, you guys, you can teach and say and try to convince. But the most powerful tool for teaching your kids is modeling. They're watching. They're watching you. So if you are always amped up and you are always in a state of chaos and you think, but I want a peaceful home, very unlikely that that's going to happen. Very unlikely that you're going to have peaceful children if you stay in a state of chaos. So, as always, we've got to work on ourselves first before we can teach our children. So if you are feeling that way, maybe you do some self-reflection and figure out, okay, how can I work harder to get myself in a state of peacefulness so that then I can teach my children how important it is to be able to be peaceful with life and peaceful at home and peaceful in their environment and peaceful with the people around them. It really is something for us to think about for sure. So we have to model it, number one. And then number two, what is your home environment like? How do you create a peaceful home? And again, I always tell my husband, if my closet's a mess, you should check on me. If my closet's clothes are everywhere, shoes are everywhere, you should check on me. Because I like order. I like things to be put in their place. No, not always. And things are not always perfect. But generally speaking, I'm hanging my clothes back up. I'm putting my shoes away. There might be one or two things sitting out, but I mean, if it's a mess, you know what I'm talking about. You've probably had a messy closet before. But if my environment is like chaos, probably the state of my heart is a bit chaotic too. Something's going on. So, can we help our children be peaceful by having a place that is calm? Like I've always been so intentional with paint colors, with decorating my home. It doesn't matter if I was, young and very poor, where I got everything from a flea market or decorated from garage sales. I was very intentional with trying to make this environment where you felt at home. When you came into my house, I wanted you to feel like you could kick your shoes off and just breathe. And that's what I want for our children. And maybe you can't do that in your entire home, but maybe you could set up a space. Maybe you could set up a corner that's just a cozy, calming corner. And it's a place where the children can go. You know what's great for that? So the tents, little kid tents that you can buy, you can make a cozy corner with covers. It doesn't have to be elaborate or expensive. But what it should be is a place that there are pillows and there are books and there are some great stuffed animals, and there are maybe some Legos if your kids like that, or some building things, or maybe if they really love to listen to books, you have a little headphones and they can listen to a book over there in their little cozy corner. But a place like that where kids can go to calm, where they can go to feel secure, especially if you have a large family with lots of children, I think that's super important that they can have a space that they can get away and they can be by themselves. I think it's really important that we give all kids the opportunity to do that if we need it. So we need to create this place that isn't stressful, that isn't chaotic. And again, even like in the morning, how you set up the morning. One of my favorite times in parenting would be the times where I was really on my workout game. And what I mean by that is if I was being disciplined in my workouts, that meant I was getting up at like 5 o'clock and going to the gym, getting my workout done. Then I would get home in time before the children would wake up. And this is why it was so important. It's because number one, I was awake, I was alert, I had already had those endorphins going, I was the dopamine going, I was feeling good. So that set my tone for the day. And then I was able to greet the children as they woke. I had a better attitude. I could be calm. I could make breakfast. I had time to turn on some music. I could set the tone for calmness. Instead, times where I wasn't on my workout game, often I'd be in bed and kids would be waking and I'd kind of stroll out of bed and tired and need to find coffee, and they're grumpy and ready for something. And then I'm kind of grumpy. And that set the tone. It wasn't as peaceful as the times when I was prepared and could set up the environment for them. I could have some things going, even if it was being cozy on the sofa, at least it was intentional about that versus us kind of, half awake doing it. It makes a difference when you take the time to do that. Also, do some of those mindful activities in your home together, like some of the deep breathing. That is fabulous to do with your kids. I mean, I remember we used to start out stretching, and, when you do that, when you're moving your body first thing, that not only helps their nervous system, that wakes up their brain and helps them receive the whatever learning is going to happen that day better because the neurons are awake and things are moving. So wake up and stretch together, breathe together, because not only are you helping them for that day, you are helping them establish a routine. And like we said earlier, a coping skill to help them when things get dysregulated, and they will in this world when we're not around. They're going to need tools to be able to calm themselves. So have a space. Have also times where you get together as a family, like be intentional about family time that's not chaotic. If you have siblings that fight a lot, often that's one is needing something from you and it comes out at them. So be aware of that. Be aware of what's that push and pull and what really is going on. Remember, behavior is communication. So when your kids are in that chaotic behavior or disobedient behavior, what are they really needing? And what are they really trying to communicate? Something else going on. So, don't accept everything at face value. Be willing to dig deeper. So set up some beautiful family things like family meals together, family games together, even family movie night together, family walks together, but time where you're intentionally bringing the family together so that the only time they're together is maybe when the siblings are arguing over a toy. That, we want to have things that are intentional to keep the peace. And then I want you to what books can you have? As I was working on the edits, I'm editing A Year of Playing Skillfully right now, by the way. If you didn't know, we released that 10 years ago. And Leslie has chosen to move on, and I have taken over the business full time. And I'm excited because I am looking at everything with fresh eyes and, how things have changed and how can we make sure this is all developmentally appropriate. And it has been fabulous to go back and relook at the curriculum and make things a little more clear. It's been a fabulous activity for me to get to do this for you. So part of that is I wanted to make sure every month we had a good amount of books, of read aloud books. And some of them are based on the theme of the month. Some of them are based on just the weather of the time of year here where we are. Some's based on the character trait. So I wanted to do something on peacefulness. I thought, well, we need what's a good book for peacefulness. So I started searching, and before I recommend a book, I want to make sure I get my hands on it and read it and make sure it's truly something I want to recommend. And I found this book and I want to share it with you. And I think it is fabulous. It's called What Does Peace Feel Like? How great is that? Because peace is so abstract. But what does peace feel like? And let me open up a page. I want to show you just a couple. How interesting it starts. The word peace is beautiful in all different languages. Did you ever close your eyes and try to imagine peace? What does peace smell like? Like a bouquet of flowers in a happy family's living room. Like fresh new furniture, like wind that comes in your nose when you're sleeping, like fresh air that makes you want to go out and sleep in the sun, like pizza with onions and sausage that just came out of the oven. What does peace feel like? Have some great books available for your children. Teach your children active listening skills. It's so important if we're going to deal with interpersonal relationship issues. And that's natural between siblings, as they get friends, as they grow up and have relationships with a partner, as they go to college, as they get a job and deal with a boss. They're going to need to work out conflict resolution. So teach them active listening. And you can do that when they're little. Here's how you do it. Well, one, you model it. Of course, I'm listening to you. How do you know I'm listening to you? Well, you definitely don't know I'm listening to you if I'm sitting on my phone. I've told the story a million times and tell it again. When Henry was about 8, I was on my phone, right, as we do. And he said, "Hey, put your phone down, Mom, so I know we're connecting." The first step in teaching a kid to actively listen, can't say it. Put your phone down so they know you're connecting. Eye contact. How do you get eye contact with a child? You need to get on their level. If you're standing up high and the child's down low, guess what they're seeing? Your nose hairs. We don't want them to see our nose hairs. We want them to see us, our facial expressions, because this is how we teach them, through facial expressions. So look them in the eye. Yes, John Michael, tell me again. I'm listening. How do you know Mommy's listening? Because I'm looking at you. I'm nodding. I'm not only using my words, I'm using my face to show you that I'm listening. Teach them how to active listen. Hey, say, John Michael, now, I heard you, and I'm going to make sure I follow through. So I'm going to put a note in my phone. So if you see me grabbing my phone, that's for me to put a note in my phone to remind me of what I just told you I was going to do. Say to them, that's why and then put your phone back away. When conflict does arise, you're actively listening. But if it arises between two siblings, model that. Help that. Don't expect 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds to know how to work something out. There's no way they know how to do that. How do they learn how to do that? That's by you holding their hand and walking them through it. Sarah, wow. When you hit Henry with your shoe, that made him sad. Henry, are you sad? Yeah, Jimmy, it hurt so much. Sarah, what do you think we should do to make that better? What do we think you should do? Actually, not we. Sarah's responsibility to make that better. I don't know. She could be mad and go hit him with the other shoe. Henry, will that make you feel better? No, that won't make me feel better. Henry says that will make him feel better, Sarah. What can you do to make Henry feel better? Well, I can hug him. Henry, would you like a hug? No, I don't want a hug. Sarah might say, I could say I'm sorry. And then I would say, Sarah, are you sorry? Yes. Okay. Then you may ask for forgiveness. Henry, do you forgive Sarah? Yes. Now can she give you a hug? Yes. But you have to help them navigate that. You role play that out. You help them because they don't have the words a lot of times in those early years. So you've got to give them the words. You can't just expect them to go, sorry. Mom says I have to say sorry. If we teach children to blanketly say sorry without helping them understand empathy, we are doing them a disservice, because they will grow up and they will expect I'm sorry to excuse their behavior. Instead, you need to help them understand that their actions have consequences. And when they choose to hurt someone, that does impact them. And in order to make that better, they need to do what that child, that person, as they grow up, needs to make it better. And for someone, words are okay to say, hey, I really am sorry. But for other people, maybe it is the hug that they need to understand that you truly regret what you did. Or maybe they need a handwritten note, or maybe they need a high five, or maybe they need to see your actions that you're not going to do it again. All of that's a lot for a little preschooler. So you're going to have to help role play that. And then when it is in forgiveness and we move on, and then we're back to restoration and peacefulness. And that's how kids learn conflict resolution. Peacefulness is something beautiful, isn't it? Where do you feel peace? I'm so fortunate. Jeff and I moved to Lake Martin full time last year. And as I'm talking to you, I'm looking out at the water right now, and we have this heron that comes in every day. He comes in and fishes from our yard, and it gets into the water, and we get to watch him. And that's peaceful to me, to watch him. That's peace. When I can sit out on the dock and just watch the water and the ripples. When a boat goes by, the sun is beaming on, I feel peace. In the quiet of the morning, when I'm sipping my coffee and I'm journaling in my journal, I feel peace. Where do you feel peace? How do you feel peace? Before we can teach it to our children, we need to understand it ourselves. And I hope you will take the time to do that. I hope you will reflect on this and think, how can I be more peaceful? How can I calm the chaos in my own heart before I help to calm my children? I wish you the best with that. And if I can help in any way, you know you can reach out to me. The best way to reach out to me is on email, because DMs get lost because I get so many and so many different social platforms. You can try. I do my very best to check on all the social media platforms. If you don't follow me, Play Skillfully with Kathy Eggers. You can follow me. It's either Play Skillfully or Play Skillfully with Kathy Eggers on every platform. Shoot me an email, Kathy@kathyeggers.com, and I will respond to you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great week.